press your finger into the skin above your ankle right now. Push hard. Hold it for 3 seconds, then let go. If the dent stays there 5, 6, 7 seconds, watching it fill back in like wet sand, you already know something is wrong. You also already know the doctor hasn't fixed it. The water pills didn't work. The compression socks didn't work. And the reason has nothing to do with you and everything to do with what they refuse to tell you. You sit down to put on your shoes and the shoes don't fit the way they used to. You catch yourself in the mirror and the ankles staring back don't look like yours anymore. And the way they look is not the worst of it. The worst of it is what swollen ankles are quietly trying to tell you about what's happening one layer deeper, in vessels that are slowly closing the way a country road closes in winter. By the time the body shouts, it has already been whispering for years. It has already changed what you do, and you have not let yourself see it. You sit down sooner at gatherings, in the chair closest to the door. You canceled the Saturday walks with your friend because by the time you got home, your legs felt like wet sandbags. You have been disappearing from your own life in small pieces, and nobody around you has noticed. For 20 years, the pharmaceutical companies that make billions on water pills have told you the same 3 lies. It's your salt. It's your weight. It's just getting older. A guilty patient is a quiet patient. And a quiet patient keeps buying pills that were never going to work. In our Amish community, we've grown the real remedy in our own backyards for 300 years. It costs about $1 a cup. And in a moment, I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, why your doctor has never mentioned it, and the one mistake almost everyone makes the first time they try it. The mistake that's the difference between waking up with ankles you recognize and wasting another month wondering why nothing works. The story you've been told about your ankles is that they swell because there's too much fluid in your body and you need to push it out. Squeeze it out with socks. Flush it out with pills. That's the wrong story. Your ankles are not swollen because you have too much water. Your ankles are swollen because the water in your body has stopped moving the way it's supposed to. Picture a small creek that runs through a meadow. When the creek is moving, the water is clean and the banks are dry. Now picture what happens when something blocks that creek, just a little, down at the bottom end. The water doesn't stop coming. It keeps coming from upstream the way it always has. But now it has nowhere to go, so it spreads. It pools. It soaks the ground around it. The meadow gets soft. The grass turns yellow. And if you stand in the meadow, your boots sink. Your legs are that meadow. Your lymph system is the creek. And somewhere down at the bottom end, near your ankles, the flow has gotten sluggish. Your kidneys are still doing their job. Your heart is pumping. But the slow side of your system, the side that's supposed to gently carry waste fluid back up your body, has fallen asleep at the wheel. And there is exactly one reason it fell asleep. One cause the medical world will not name out loud. And once you understand it, you will never look at a water pill the same way again. This is why water pills don't fix it. Water pills make your kidneys work harder. They strip fluid out of your bloodstream, and yes, you run to the bathroom all night. But the pooled water sitting in the meadow of your legs is not in your bloodstream. It's in the tissue. The pill can't reach it. The compression socks can't reach the cause either. They just squeeze the meadow harder. The minute you take them off, the water comes back. What the meadow needs is for the creek to start moving again. That's the real work. And until that happens, you can take every pill they hand you and wear every sock they sell you, and your ankles will still look like that at the end of the day. I'll tell you what I have watched over 65 years of looking after my community. Every year that this goes unaddressed, the creek slows down a little more. The walls of those small vessels lose their spring. The meadow stays wet longer and longer, and one day the body has a much harder time finding its way back than it would have had 5 years ago. This is the kind of thing that does not announce itself loudly. It just settles in, and then one morning you realize you cannot remember the last time your ankles looked the way they used to. That morning is closer than you think. For some of you watching, it has already passed. But I am going to show you how Marie reversed it in 11 days, and how you can start tonight with 1 cup of something growing in your driveway. Before I tell you what to do tonight, Before I give you the recipe my grandmother gave me when I was 9 years old, I need to tell you about a woman named Marie. Because what happened to Marie at her grandson's baseball game changed how I teach this remedy forever. Marie was 68 when she first came to see me. She lived in Reading, about an hour from us. She had worked as a school cafeteria cook for 31 years, on her feet the whole shift, and she said she had loved every minute of it until her ankles took it away from her. By the time she sat down across from me at my kitchen table, she was already 2 years into the same story you're living. The pills, the socks, the doctor telling her to lose weight and cut salt. She told me she had stopped going to her own grandson's baseball games because she couldn't stand at the fence for 2 hours anymore. That was the part that broke her, not the ankles. The grandson. I made her a cup of what I'm about to teach you. She drank it sitting right there. I sent her home with the recipe and one instruction about timing, the part most people get wrong. She called me 11 days later. She said she had to look at her own feet twice that morning to be sure they were hers. The ring from her sock was gone. The bone in her ankle had come back. She said she'd stood at the stove for an hour the day before making a Sunday dinner for her family and never once thought about her legs. She went to her grandson's last game of the season that summer. She stood at the fence for the whole 9 innings. And afterward, she sat in the parking lot of that high school and cried for 20 minutes. Her husband, 50 years married, reached across the seat and asked her what was wrong, and she couldn't get the words out. Finally, she squeezed his hand and said, "Nothing's wrong." For the first time in 3 years, nothing is wrong, he cried too. Right there in the parking lot, 2 old people holding hands because she'd gotten her life back. That's the same thing I'm going to give you now. The same thing I gave Marie. And you can start it tonight with what's already in your kitchen or with what costs about $1 at any grocery store. The plant is dandelion. The one your neighbors spray every spring to kill. The one growing in the cracks of your driveway right now. For 300 years, my people have grown it on purpose, dried the leaves, and brewed them into a tea that gets the creek moving again. And here is the part that should make you angry. The compound in this plant that gets your creek moving again has been documented in medical journals for decades. The pharmaceutical industry knows. The doctors who prescribed you those water pills know. But there is no patent on a weed growing in your driveway, and no company can charge you $180 a month for a plant. So the research stayed buried, and you stayed swollen, and somebody got rich on the difference. Here is exactly how to make it. You can use fresh dandelion leaves from a yard that has not been sprayed, or you can buy dried dandelion leaf at any grocery store or pharmacy in the tea aisle for about $1. Either one works. If you're using fresh leaves, you want a small handful, about the size of an egg, when you squeeze them together. Rinse them well in cool water. Tear them into pieces with your hands, don't cut them. The plant gives up more of itself when it's torn. If you're using dried, 1 full teaspoon for each cup of water. Don't be stingy with it. A weak cup of this tea is what most people make the first time, and a weak cup is the difference between feeling something and feeling nothing. Bring 2 cups of water to a simmer, not a hard boil. A hard boil destroys the compounds you came here for, the same way overcooking a vegetable strips it of everything good. The water should look like it's just starting to think about boiling, small bubbles forming on the bottom of the pot, the surface still calm. The Amish call this a whispering simmer. The water should be whispering, not shouting. Take it off the heat. Drop your leaves in. Cover the pot with a lid. And here is the part almost everyone gets wrong. You let it sit, covered, for 15 full minutes. Not 5, not 8, 15. Most people pour it out after 3 or 4 minutes the way they would a regular tea bag, and then they wonder why it didn't do anything. The leaves of this plant give their medicine slowly. You have to give them time. After 15 minutes, pour it through a small strainer into your cup. The color will be a deep gold, almost amber. If yours looks pale yellow like weak chamomile, you didn't use enough leaf or you didn't steep it long enough. Now the timing. This is the part I told Marie about, and the part I'm telling you. Drink your first cup in the morning within an hour of waking up. Drink your second cup in the early afternoon, no later than 3. Do not drink it in the evening. This tea will get the creek moving, and the creek moving means you will need the bathroom. If you drink it at night, you will be up at 2 in the morning. So we use the body's daytime hours to do the work, and we let the body rest at night. Do this every day for at least 7 days before you decide if it's working. Most people see the change by day 3 or 4. Some bodies take a little longer. The longer your ankles have been the way they are, the longer the meadow takes to dry. What the people who have done this tell me afterward, almost always, is that the first thing they notice is not the ankles. It's the socks. They take them off at night and there's no ring. Then a day or 2 later, they notice the bone in the ankle is back, the small, sharp bone they hadn't seen in months. One woman, 72, told me she put her grandchild on her lap for the first time in 2 years without bracing for the pressure on her legs. A retired farmer told me he climbed the steps to his own porch without thinking about climbing them and only realized halfway up that he hadn't thought about it. A widow in Ohio told me she danced in her kitchen for the first time since her husband died, alone, to no music, because her body finally let her. What I just gave you is the remedy for the swelling itself, and for most of you, drinking that tea morning and afternoon for a few weeks will give you back ankles you recognize. Take it and go with my blessing. But there is one more thing, and this is the part I only share with the people who lean in close at my kitchen table. The ones who tell me they don't just want the swelling gone for a month, they want it gone for good. If that is you, listen to this next part carefully, because it is the difference between a fix that lasts 6 weeks and a fix that lasts the rest of your life. What I have noticed over the years is that the swelling is the surface of the thing. Picture it like a house with 3 floors. The top floor is what you see, the swelling in your ankles. The middle floor is the inflammation in the small vessels, the part you cannot see but can feel as heaviness. And the basement, the foundation of the whole house, is your gut. Fix the top floor and the swelling comes back. Fix the middle floor and it comes back slower. But fix the basement and the whole house finally stops sinking. When the gut is out of balance, it sends low, steady inflammation out into the body, and the small vessels in your legs are some of the first places that inflammation settles. That's why the swelling comes back even when you do everything else right. The tea quiets the meadow, but the creek keeps getting irritated from underneath. The gut needs 3 things to settle that fire. First, good living bacteria, the kind that crowd out the troublemakers the way a healthy lawn crowds out weeds. Second, the food those good bacteria need to stay alive, which is fiber, the rougher the better. And third, the healing compounds those bacteria produce once they are properly fed, the ones science has only started naming in the last 10 years. Get all 3 into your body daily, and the fire in the small vessels goes out. There is one drink my people have used for as long as anyone can remember that gives the gut all 3 at once. That drink is kombucha. When the gut is fed properly, the inflammation steadies, and when the inflammation steadies, the swelling in your ankles stops coming back the way it has. This is what I give the people who come to me with this, alongside the tea. And these are the ones whose ankles still look right a year later. So here is what I give them. The dandelion tea in the morning and the afternoon, and a small daily kombucha to feed the gut underneath. That is the full answer, the way my people have done it for generations. I make my own kombucha at home because I have the time and the knowledge. But for everyone watching online who can't brew their own, I give BoochBod Kombucha Gummies. The link is in the description, or you can search BoochBod Kombucha Gummies on Amazon. Marie is 71 now. She still works part-time at the same school cafeteria, 3 days a week, on her feet the whole shift. Last spring, she sent me a photograph of herself standing at the fence at a baseball game, smiling, her grandson on the mound. Her ankles in the picture look like the ankles of a woman who has never had this problem at all. The same road is open to you. You can start it tonight with $1 worth of dried dandelion leaf and a pot of water that's almost boiling but not quite. By the end of next week, you may be looking at your own feet the way Marie looked at hers, twice, to be sure they were yours. And I want you to hear me on this last part. because some of you watching are 75, 80, and you are quietly telling yourselves it is too late for you. It is not. I have watched a man of 83 drink this tea for 19 days and walk a mile with his wife on their anniversary, the first mile they had walked together in 6 years. The body does not have an expiration date for healing. The creek does not check your driver's license before it starts flowing again. Your body has been waiting patiently, quietly, for someone to finally give it what it needs. If this helped you, subscribe so I can keep finding you. Share it with one person you love who has been quiet about this same thing. And leave me a comment and tell me how your first cup goes. I read every single comment on this channel. Until next time.